welcome in Bills Mafia, and welcome back to another edition of the Go Bills podcast in the Sunday Sit Down series. This is the 6th episode of the Sunday Sit Down series, and this is the second time that I've actually had David Johnson on here. The first time I had him on, we had some audio difficulties, and it just didn't work out for the video, so we had to redo the video. This is going to be the first time that the viewers are seeing it, though. But the second time I get to interview him and ask him pretty much the same exact questions again, which is something that was unfortunate. But I promise you guys, this one's going to work out. So I'm going to introduce David Johnson first, but I'm going to take 1 second beforehand. And I just want to say that before the show, we had David on in the background, and he was telling me all about his Jordan Poyer jersey that he's waited since 2019 to get. And I kind of felt bad. I'm like, I'm in my blue, shirt and everything. And I said, you know what? I have to get my jersey on. So I'm repping my Josh Allen jersey. He's wrapping his Jordan Poyer jersey, and we are fired up for Bills football to come back in 2023. So David,
1,000%.
What is up, man? How are you doing, buddy?
Bro, I am good. Like you said, super fired up. I'm gonna stand up and show everybody. I know it's like, oh man, long time waiting for this jersey, man. And it's the little things in life, right? But no, I'm super pumped about it. Like I told you, backstage, that I literally just took it out of the bag. So I'm excited. I'm ready, and I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I cannot complain, man. I'm honored that you took it out of the bag for the Go Bills podcast just to be on the show. That makes me so happy that you did that. So I really do appreciate you doing that. But all right, man, I got to ask you, are you ready for your second interview for the Sunday Sit Down series?
I am. And, I know you said that it was the 6th one, but because we did it once, I'm counting it as number 7.
This is number 7. Seven's a lucky number. So,
Seven has there's a lot of, sevens in my life. My birthday's 7/7. So
there's been some good quarterbacks for the Bills that wore number 7, and one that, had an okay career, JP Lossman. So, but you could.
I blame the concussion. If he didn't get the concussion, he probably would have been fine.
Exactly. So, but hey, Doug Flutie, I mean, think about that. Yep. That was a good time.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, man. I'm going to start firing these off for you. The first one is, tell the viewers a little bit about where you're from.
Okay, so I currently live in Cleveland, Ohio, but I was born in Rochester and moved to Cleveland in 2000. My dad moved us here, so I've moved away but came back ever since. So,
and what made you move from Rochester to Cleveland?
My parents split, and my dad got a job up here, and we had a lot of family in the area. So I guess it was just, he was looking for a fresh start, and he said, "Hey guys, you're coming with me." And I was like, "But I like it in Rochester."
I feel you, though. Do you miss Buffalo at all? Is there any differences between Cleveland and Buffalo, maybe in terms of like food and stuff like that?
So yeah, actually, I do find there's a lot of things in Buffalo that are better. And like, I really thought that I was partial because, it's my home, but Buffalo, Rochester, Western New York, like there's a lot of food that's better. Sometimes I honestly think that the people are a little nicer depending on the day. But as far as similarities go, I mean, they're two blue collar cities, and we share the lake with Western New York, so Lake Erie. Their winters are better too. The winters here suck. There's no snow. There's no fun. It's just cold and wet sometimes.
Hey, I mean, that's why they call it the mistake across the lake for a reason,
Exactly.
Hey, you settled there. So I'm going to ask you this. Why did you settle on Cleveland, Ohio? Why didn't you think about going back to Buffalo or maybe moving into somewhere that doesn't necessarily have the cold weather? You could come to somewhere south like North Carolina or something like that.
So it's funny that you actually said North Carolina because I lived there for 2 years, and I lived in Greensboro, which is a massive college city. And learned that it's probably best for me not to be around that many colleges and bars all at the same time. Um, I moved back to. I did try to leave Cleveland. My goal was to eventually get back to Western New York, but the older I got, the more I paid attention to um, I don't want to say politics, so we'll say like laws, right? It's a little easier to live in Ohio than it is in New York.
Right.
It's like my favorite Buffalo Bill Poyer talks about. The taxes aren't nearly as bad. But in 2010, my son was born, and so I left. Me and his mom had a long distance relationship while I was in North Carolina, and came back to help her raise a kid, and just decided to stay here until he's at least done with high school.
So you're pretty much settled all the way around. You're gonna stay in Cleveland. No plans on going back until after he's done with high school.
Yeah, so he's 12 right now. So I
Okay.
only got 6 long more years.
6
And
more awful winters that you can deal with.
yeah. But and then me and my fiance, who's not his mom, we'll reevaluate and figure out what we're gonna do. We bought a house here, so definitely plan on staying here for a while, at least until I get sick of the house, and then we'll figure out the next step.
Well, it seems like you do have a nice house because I'm looking around. I see all this, this area that you have for all your bill stuff, which in my household, I don't have the space for that. My fiance doesn't give me the needed space to have my Bills gear all over the place. And you said you spent over $6,000 on Bills gear, whether it's jerseys and stuff like that. So, talk to me a little bit about your collection that you have going on. I want to know, is there a piece, maybe you have it in the room if you do. If not, is there a piece that is the one that you go every single game day you have to have that with you?
So, um, to be clear, first of all, because I know Devin's going to watch this and she'll kill me about that $6,000 mark. That's over the course of the last few seasons,
Okay.
and it's to build, obviously to build the collection. I got quite a few things that are like kind of key. But as far as game days specifically concerned, um, you know, we have game day outfits, and
Okay.
we all three of us get involved in it. Like my son's like we're matching whether it's the color of the jersey, which I finally have a red one, so we can. His favorite one is his red Josh Allen, like what you're wearing, and so he'll wear that. I'll wear this, but we got like his idea matching shorts. She's got yoga pants that match, but like we all get just dressed up and like, you know, if you go on my Instagram, you scroll back a little bit, you'll see that like every game I'm throwing down, what we're wearing for the game and stuff like that. Just kind of do what you're doing, but not as in depth as what you do to kind of just make it fun and everything. Um, as far as the stuff behind me, though, my favorite things that I have out of all of the collectible stuff are in this square right here. The picture is a signed Jordan Poyer picture. The helmet is a signed Micah Hyde helmet. And
Oh,
then let me see if I can get this. I can't do it. The the center square right here that has a Jim Kelly Funko and a Jim Kelly signed mini helmet. And
that's
those are
awesome.
like so like, and then the one on the end is when we broke look at that. It went there perfectly with the pen. The one on the end is, that's a signed Tyrod helmet. And people are going to be like, why do you have a
Cool.
signed Tyrod helmet? I'm like, well, why don't you? Because he was the one that broke the drought.
Right.
And then it's the winter hat and the baseball hat from when he broke the drought.
That's awesome. So I'll talk a little bit about my collection because it's kind of similar to yours. So the first year that Tyrod was in Buffalo, and we just got LaShawn McCoy. I
Yep.
have a football that's signed by not only Tyrod Taylor, but it's also signed by LaShawn McCoy. I was the first person to at the first the first training camp that he went to, I was the first person to get an autograph from LaShawn McCoy. So I threw the first official fan pass to LaShawn McCoy in the uniform, which is incredible.
That's awesome.
But not only is it signed by Tyrod Taylor is signed by LaShawn McCoy, Sammy Watkins, and Preston Brown. So
wow,
pretty good collection there. I mean, some bigger name Buffalo Bills at the time. So
yeah,
I was trying to get a couple more. I wanted Robert Woods to sign one. That was one of the goals, to get assigned Robert Woods football. I didn't get that ever, but I did get Fred Jackson, which was incredible. That was like a living legend to get.
Yeah.
I was the last one to get his autograph at training camp. I can't even remember. I was probably 11 years old, but I was able to get his. Now, when I tell you I was able to get it, I snuck through security and got all the way through. Now, when I say snuck through security, I didn't just sneak through. I ran through security, and they were screaming at me and everything, and I did not care. They were trying to pull me off and everything. I'm like, Freddie, can you just sign this real quick? Like, just sign it, please, please, please. And he signed it. God. I went through VIP to get all the way in there, and I went to the front of the line. I'm like, nope, not waiting. No, but as a kid, I didn't know. I mean, I'm 11 years old. I'm just like, you see Fred Jackson, you're running.
Oh yeah. No,
I ran right to him, but
I'm 37. If I saw Fred Jackson, I'm running.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, can you sign anything?
Exactly. I was a fan. Like, he was my favorite running back. Every single year I had a fantasy football team, I picked Fred Jackson just because, he's Freddie. You got to get him on your team, even if he doesn't get you, a win in fantasy football. I just had to have a Buffalo Bill on my team. So, and he was the only one that really did anything.
He was definitely one of the ones during that era that kept it really exciting and kept it engaging. I mean, there was him, Fitzpatrick, and Stevie.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's really, they did a lot. Those three, they did a lot more than I expected. So
on offensive terms, those are the three guys that I have. And then on defense, it's got to be Kyle Williams.
It has to be.
I mean, we got to put Fred and Kyle in the Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's how it's got to end. But I know we talked a little bit about your family. I want to get to know your family a little bit more. Tell me a little bit about your family. Do you just have the one son?
Yeah. So we'll dive into that. So I have a son. His name is Brody. He's 12. He is my only child. And, right now we're both figuring out how to play the sport of baseball. I am 100% a football guy, and everything else is like a foreign language. At least baseball is more like French as opposed to basketball, which is very similar to me learning Chinese. So, there's hope. But it's really cool because he really loves the Bills. He loves everything that, he tries to love everything that I do. And obviously at 12 years old, he'll be 13 in December. Like, he's starting to formulate his own opinions, but he's still very much like that's one of my top two best friends. My other one is Devin, my fiance, and she is probably a better human than I'd ever deserve. Honestly, she's just one of the kindest people I've ever met. And she goes out of her way to be kind to people. Whereas me, I'm like, let's just not. And, her jobs, for example, are just really actually kind of encompass exactly who she is as a person. She works for a nonprofit as a full-time job where she goes and teaches about drug addiction, suicide, gambling addiction, stuff like that. And, her other job, her part-time job, is the one that hits closer to home as far as Cleveland is concerned. She works with, there's a couple of girls that were just found a few years ago, and they started one of them started a nonprofit that she works with, where she is a police officer liaison for missing families. So like, if you got, a relative that goes missing, you go to them, they help you get the resources, and she helps communicate and facilitate the communication between the family and the police, because those families and police, they speak two different languages.
That's awesome what she does. And I love how you talked about her and you said that she's the best thing that's ever happened to you and you don't deserve her because that tells me that she's really good for you and I'm really happy for you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You talked about your son, Brody, and you said he's a passionate Bills fan. What's his favorite player on the team?
He has one, and once a Bill, always a Bill. So he's got like more than one, but the one that's currently on the roster is Josh, and it's because he honestly likes his personality, and he thinks that he's just like, he's like, that's like somebody like me playing quarterback, like just a big goofball, like absolutely 100%. And then the other guy, the only Buffalo Bill he's ever met so far, Harrison Phillips. And when I told him, that he got traded, he cried. Or that, not that he got traded, that he signed with Minnesota, right? That
right.
He was upset, he cried. But we ended up getting him a Vikings Harrison Phillips jersey. So
that's awesome.
And then the third one that he likes is Vaughn. Obviously, Vaughn carries status, right?
Right.
But the first question that he asked is, I was really excited. I wanted them to draft Vaughn. And I was explaining it to him. And I'm like, dude, Von Miller's like the guy on defense. We're squared. Like, we're good. And he was like, okay, but what does he do for kids?
Wow.
And I'm not making this up. If he was here, I'd pull him down here. I should have done this. We should have done this next week because he'll be here. But it was like the first, okay, but what does he do for kids? Because Josh does this at the Oshai Children's Hospital and Harrison has the playmakers. So what does Vaughn do? So we had to dive into what all these, we just took a deep dive into what all these guys do. So,
well, one thing that he does, and it's not necessarily with kids, but the summit that Vaughn does, that's inspiring the next generation of football players. While I wish he would get a little bit more involved with charities and stuff like that. And he does to some degree, don't get me wrong. I wish that it was to the level of a Harrison Phillips or a level of Josh Allen to what they do. And I think that once you see him in his second and third year in Buffalo, he'll start to get more involved with the community. And he does a lot of football camps and stuff like that too. But to take it to the next level, that's what I'm looking at.
Well, his biggest thing, real quick before we move on, Vaughn's biggest thing is the Vaughn's vision. Mm-hmm. Where he, like, I don't know if people probably know this. If not, he donates glasses, goes and buys like prescription glasses for each individual child in a home that can't afford it.
Yeah, I knew that about him, but that's really cool that he does that. Mm-hmm. And I know he does a lot for like Denver, and he does a lot for LA too, to some degree, but it hasn't translated over to Buffalo, and I think it's going to in the next year or two. I mean, he needs to establish himself in Buffalo. He had to, the first thing you do when you get traded or sign with a new team is you got to find your own home. You got to, understand the playbook, and that's what I think he was doing this year. And next year, well, this upcoming season, you're going to see more of him get involved with the community. So. That'll be a great thing to see him do. Now, a little bit more about, I want to get to know Devin a little bit too, because we understand that Brody's favorite player is Josh Allen, and he loves Vaughn on the roster and Harrison Phillips, but your fiance, Devin, she has a couple jerseys too. Is that correct?
Yeah, she has 3.
Okay. So. What are they?
Okay, so the one that she wanted from day one of watching Buffalo Bills football was Cole Beasley.
That's a good one.
Got her that one. Oddly enough, though, when I went to buy the Beasley jersey, he was no longer on the team. I don't remember if he got cut or if they just released him, however that happened. But it was like this same day. So I pivoted and bought her a Diggs jersey. So the Diggs jersey was the first one.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, oh, this will work. Like, I'm sorry, Beasley's gone. Like, if I can find you a used one, I will. So as soon as I started hearing that Beasley might be coming back, I immediately went on and bought her a Beasley one. I don't care if this guy's never on the team again. You got your jersey. And then the third one she has is Micah Hyde.
That's great.
So there's a story behind each one of them. And like I told you earlier, I could talk for hours, but those are the stories behind the Diggs. She loves Diggs too. She thinks he's a fantastic football player and one of the funniest guys out there. And the Hyde one was actually more of my choice. She does like Micah Hyde, and once she realized, again, like when people realize what these guys do with their money outside of football, like it changes their perspective. And so his foundation, the Imagine for Youth Foundation, actually is located in Ohio as well because he's from Ohio.
Right.
So I showed her that and told her that, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I can get behind that." Plus, with Poyer being your favorite, he's the balance for Poyer. And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that'll work."
Well, that's great because Poyer also played for Cleveland, and he had the lacerated kidney, and nobody knew if he was going to come back in his career. Then he comes over to Buffalo and makes a name for himself in Buffalo, and ended up testing free agency. He thought that he was going to get the money that he wanted. Didn't actually happen, and he ended up coming back to Buffalo on a deal that honestly is a steal, in my opinion, for Buffalo.
It absolutely is.
I mean, a 2-year, $12 million contract, that's $6 million a year. If he does play that second year, which I think he has the option to void out of that year. I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see with when the contract details come in. And I know they have come in to a degree, but we haven't seen exactly the terms of the deal. But it'll be interesting to see if he can void out of that contract for the second year. But let's get into some Bills questions, though. And I know we kind of went into a few of these questions earlier, but you talked about your game day outfit for Bills games. Do you have any game day meals that you guys have together? Is it the same thing every week or is it different?
Bro, I have rituals. I don't have like it's a whole thing.
So let's hear it. Let's hear this.
All right. So game day, right? Wake up, work out because I'm already stressed because it's a 50-50 shot whether or not they win. And after that, I have Blackstone with the air fryer outside, the griddle and air fryer. So I go get that started, fired up, and we cook burgers, and I got an air fryer inside too. So we do fries in there and then wings outside as well. So we get every game day, the London game's going to be fun because we're going to have burgers and wings for breakfast. So I'm going to have to throw some eggs on those.
No. You can, down here in Florida, I'll tell you this, are there times where I've had burgers at 8:00 in the morning? Absolutely.
You can have a burger at any time.
You can have a burger at any time. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I wish McDonald's would stop the all-day breakfast and have all-day lunch.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's have all-day breakfast, all-day lunch. And for certain people, like, I don't eat eggs. Plain and simple, I don't eat eggs. Like, that's one thing nobody knows about me. I've never loved eggs. So I have lunch for breakfast every single day.
Wow.
And it's crazy. People were like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, nope.
No, I get it.
I'll have a burger.
I get it. Like, I shoot, for breakfast today, I had eggs, bacon, and hash browns, and I made, I didn't go buy it. I made it here, but like, I could understand not liking eggs. Yeah, I can understand that.
But hash browns, do you put cheese over the top of them?
Not all the time. Depends on which kind it is, but not if it's the like the diced potatoes or the shredded ones, I will occasionally. But typically it's hot sauce and ketchup, and then occasionally it's blue cheese crumbles or like cheddar or something like that.
That sounds good though.
I'm a blue
cheese. And now you make me hungry. We got to get done with the show pretty fast then.
Right.
But I know you talked about your family. Do you have any pets or anything like that in your family?
Yeah. So I have a 95-pound pain in my butt that is upstairs right now, jumping at the window because there's probably a squirrel in the yard. He's a German Shepherd.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he is one of the most playful. He's 2. He just turned 2 at the end of May. He's one of the most playful dogs I've ever had in my life. But I will tell you that when you're outside and 95 pounds comes barreling down at you because he's taking laps and he hits your knee the right way, you don't just fall.
No.
You do a flip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I have a 65-pound golden lab, and she's 10 months old now. She just had her 10th month birthday. So I mean, she's a pistol. I'll tell you that. Luckily it's early in the day here, so she can be outside and everything. But
yeah,
I'm telling you, when I have these shows on at 8-9 o'clock at night, she is in the room and she's doing zoomies all the freaking time, and it's just fun. So that's what
he's just not a fan of people being on his yard. He's 2 years old. He's in what they call the teenager phase for dogs, but he is 1000% that get off my lawn old man.
Oh yeah,
he is the worst.
What's his name?
Crypto, after Superman's dog.
Oh sweet, that's nice. I love that.
Brody.
All right, so let me get to know you a little bit more. I know you talked about your favorite player on the Buffalo Bills, but I got to know, Jordan Poyer, how many interceptions does he have this year?
Like, did he have just this past year?
Well, how many interceptions is he going to have this upcoming year?
Bro, he was on track for like 1 a game last season.
So you're going to go 17?
No, I'll say 12.
12? Okay.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I really hope I don't jinx this dude, but like, I think he's capable of hitting 12 at least.
That would be great. And with the secondary that we have, with hopefully a healthy Tre'Davious White coming back, being a different player, which is going to be big, and having Micah back, and to some degree, we don't know if he's going to be the same player after missing most of the year. It'll be interesting to see how it helps Jordan Poyer too. So,
oh, absolutely.
Have you ever been to a Bills game before?
I have been to, I think I've been to 3. I think definitely 2. I took Brody to his first game against the Jets when Tyrod was quarterback. I think it was 2016, and then I went to like 1 or 2 when I was younger, but haven't been to any since Josh came into his whole I am an NFL starting quarterback, mentality, the guy that he is now.
That's cool. Is there a favorite moment that you have at the stadium?
Yeah. We sat in the section that's called the rock pile when I took Brody. And so in there, it's like, that's similar to if anybody outside watches this, outside of the Bills fan base, that's similar to the dog pound in Cleveland. It's like, that's where like a lot of the diehards sit, from what I've been told. And so we're sitting there, and somehow there's like 2 rows of Jets fans in front of us. And we're just, we're giving it to them, the Jets and everything. And then everybody around us is giving these fans a hard time. And all of a sudden this guy reaches over my shoulder and hands a torn up program to Brody and says, throw it on the people in front of you. And he looked at me like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, bro, I am not starting a fight in this stadium. It's literally just me and him. And the guy goes, will you look around? You're not alone. And I was like, all right, fine. Throw 1 handful. So like, the conversation was longer than that. Right. But so he throws a handful, and the Jets fan was like, knock it off. I'm tired of you guys throwing stuff at me. And so they kept, now everybody, like, you shouldn't have said that, dude. Like, you should have just kept your mouth shut. So now everybody's tearing up their programs, and because he's just a little boy, what are you going to do? Beat up a little boy? So he's got 2 hands just going like this with the confetti of the programs. And all of a sudden this guy stands up, and his entire row stands up, and he's like, who threw that? And Brody just drops 2 handfuls. And the guy looks right at me. He's like, is that your kid? I was like, yeah, it is. Sit down. We're trying to watch the game. And he was like, no. And the whole section just rose up. And I was like, yes. And he was like, never mind. And they were like, leave the kid alone. Everybody just started they were calling them communists and losers. And, they had the JETS suck, suck, suck chant going on. And
Oh, geez.
half that guy's row left. It was one of the most surreal experiences of my life.
That's good, though. I mean, hey,
Like,
I bet you Brody will never forget it. That's the thing.
no,
Yeah.
he talks about it randomly all the time. He's like, you remember when we went to that Bills game and that guy tried to fight you because I was throwing the program? I was like, I do.
No, that's awesome, though. So I know we're past the draft, we're past free agency and everything, but I want to get to know a little bit about your knowledge of some of the players that the Bills have brought in. And I'm not going to ask you like a personal question on the players. Like, you don't have to tell me all this, but is there a favorite move that you have from the off season that you're like, I can't wait to see this guy in a Bills uniform?
So we're excluding the re-signing of Poyer.
Re-signing, yeah, just the new players.
I do like the Leonard Floyd signing, and because every time I watch him, I'm like, wow, how are you that good? Like, you don't, he doesn't look like he would be that guy, but he is definitely that guy. And then the draft overall, I was pretty happy with. Dalton Kincaid, never heard of him. Looked him up and was like, I guess I should pay closer attention to college football because this is incredible. It was a steal. And I was really excited about the Osiris Torrance thing and the McGovern signing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's good to solidify the interior of the offensive line. That's one thing that we needed to do last year because we just couldn't get the ball running. I mean, if you wanted to run the ball with anybody inside, including Josh to some degrees, you couldn't get the first downs that way. So we had to bounce it outside a lot of the time. And now we have three different running backs and Damian Harris and Nyheim Hines and even James Cook. We don't know what they're going to do. And I mean, they're three different styles of running backs. I feel like James Cook is more of it reminds me a lot of the Shady McCoy type of player where he can bounce it to the outside, but he can also do a lot inside and use the zone blocking scheme that the Bills are going to run this year to be able to bounce something to the house. But Damian Harris is more of the goal line back where you need to get positive yards and establish the line of scrimmage with your offensive lineman. And if we can do that, then Damian Harris is going to bulldoze his way into the end zone. And then Nyheim Hines to some degree, and even Latavius Murray, I mean, that's another running back that may or may not make the roster. But
I actually wasn't too happy about the Latavius Murray signing. Like,
really?
Everybody's like my older brother, huge, just into all sports, especially NFL, and he was like, "You guys got Murray, you should be excited." I was like, "What do we need another one for?" Like, that makes what? That's 4 or 5 running backs on the roster now. Like, you can't play them all. I was really excited about the Damian Harris one. That was the one that happened so early on. I forgot about it. But, he's, to me, he's been on the team, this whole time. So, but right. No, I was excited about the Damian Harris one. The Murray one, I guess it's probably more so his age than anything else. To where I'm just like, can you still, like, how much are we paying you? Because,
well, to one degree, I like the move, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Remember a few years ago, we had Duke Johnson on the roster, and he was more of the practice squad player.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking with Latavius Murray, if he makes the roster, great. He's on the 53-man roster. But if you cut him, there's a good chance we can bring him back and put him on the practice squad in case one of the players gets injured. And remember last year with the Denver Broncos, he had a pretty good year where he had over 800 yards. So it's still a good move for Buffalo to keep him. But like you said, the age is something that concerns me. And if he can play special teams, which the 3 running backs that we're mentioning in Damian Harris and James Cook and Latavius Murray, they haven't played special teams.
Yeah.
The only one that does play special teams to some degree is Nyheim Hines. But he's a kick returner. He's not, he's going to help you in special teams, but we're missing the Taiwan Jones type of player that was the gunner. And we also lost Jake Kumaro, who was an excellent gunner as well. So now our special teams is taking a hit. And while we did keep some other guys on the roster, the linebackers and Tyrell Dodson, and I can't even think of his name now, but there's another Tyler Matakevich that we kept. They were more of to help the special teams role, but I feel like the special teams is going to take a little bit of a hit too, because now you don't have anybody that can be the gunner in certain situations. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on and who's going to be the gunners this year.
As wild as it sounds, and I've gotten some flack for this on the internet, on the interwebs, but I think that might be part of the reason why they signed Taylor Rapp.
Yeah.
Because, like, is he a starter? Yeah. I mean, they did the starter on 31 other teams. But how are you going to justify putting him in front of Micah or Jordan? You're not. He's going to sit there. He's going to learn the playbook. He's going to learn how they run the defense, and he's going to have to learn how to copy it. And until then, have fun running down the punts, buddy.
Well, there's one thing I will say is this. They're going to find ways to get Taylor Rapp on the field. He's too good of a football player to be sitting on the bench. Now, whether that's going to be as a safety, or is it going to be as a cornerback, or even a linebacker? I mean, he can play so many different positions, even an edge rusher. He really can play. So they'll move him around the line of scrimmage, and there's talks, and I don't know if you know this, but there's talks about him being the starting middle linebacker for Buffalo.
I did not hear that. It wouldn't surprise me because, when we signed him, I was like, who's this guy? Watch his tape. Okay. Like, he's a coverage linebacker. He that plays safety. Yeah. If you watch how he plays safety, he's definitely played linebacker in his life. And, I think that you're right. I think that they will find a way to get him on the field. Everybody's been talking about like, oh, he's going to replace Poyer, blah, blah, blah. And he's not. He just,
nobody can replace Poyer.
You can't.
You can't replace Poyer. You can put somebody in that position, but they're not going to be the same player to the degree that Jordan Poyer has been for the Buffalo Bills for so many years. He can replace him, come in, and do everything. But what Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde have is that chemistry that you haven't seen that between two safeties in a long time in the NFL, and the continuity that they have together. You're not going to see that for many more years.
You're absolutely right. And I've said that to people before too, because the way that those two like they can communicate and not say a word.
Exactly.
They have great field, awareness about the other one. And like, I also don't think, as much as I love both of them as safeties, as football players, human beings, I don't think they are as good as they are without the other one.
Exactly. I completely agree. That's why I think towards the second half of the season, you saw where people are like, oh, Jordan Poyer sucks, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's not the same player and everything. I'm like, you don't understand. Yeah. If you have Micah Hyde out there and you have Jordan Poyer, those are two center fielders.
Yeah.
They can cover the field and they know where the other person is going to be. You aren't thinking, oh shit, I got to go over and cover the right side now because this person is coming in, and Cam Lewis can't catch the football off of Justin Jefferson, one-handed grab. He's thinking, okay, I can go over and cover my side of the field. Micah's got that side of the field. He's coming down with the ball 90% of the time.
Yep.
If he's covering that side of the field, and I'm going to cover my side of the field, I can play the 50% of the field, cover that side, and get to where I need to be. But when you have one guy that's in the middle of the field having to look right and left,
yep,
you're going to make mistakes. That's going to happen, and that's what you see constantly happening. So
and that's and you're right. And I've definitely I've definitely gotten into my fair share of Twitter arguments about like, dude, you really don't know football and you really don't know the position or the player over Poyer and Hyde. And obviously just ridiculousness, having a bad day going to bat for these guys that don't even know my name. But like when he was on the field, not injured with Hamlin, there was a small drop.
Yeah.
But once he got injured, there was a bigger drop, and he's still performing.
Yeah.
And then, then Hamlin goes down, and now he's sitting here running around. And who says it? Steve Tasker and Chris Brown on One Bills Live. They say it all the time. Like, he's running around on the field looking like half a cyborg, and he's worried about his buddy who just died on the field the rest of the season. Like, you know what? You're lucky I'm showing up to these games if I'm him.
Exactly. I agree. I mean, I really do agree with what you're saying, and that's valid points that you're making, because, do I think that there is a major drop off between Micah Hyde and Damar Hamlin? Yes.
Yeah.
Because Micah is a veteran. He knows where to be in certain situations. Damar had never been on the field for the Buffalo Bills to that degree. Then when Damar goes down and you have to bring the next guy up, I mean, major drop off.
It's why they brought Marlowe back.
Exactly. I get it.
They should have put him on the field right away, but that's a whole nother. I told you I'll take you on a rant. So
exactly. Hey, that's fine. Don't even worry about that. But, all right, last Bills question that I have for you before we get into the this or that questions, and I want to know, we've seen the deal for the new Bills stadium. They're starting the process of doing the construction. It's starting pretty early on. We already had the groundbreaking for the stadium, which is excellent. It'll be probably our whole entire lifetimes that we'll see the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park. Yeah. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on the stadium, number one, and number two, are you going to the first game?
Okay, so number one, I absolutely love it. And hot take, if you want a roof, you're wrong. Football needs to be played in bad weather. Football needs to be played on grass, which they're going to have grass. They got the field's open. And when I'm at a game in December, I want to not be able to feel my toes by the fourth quarter. I don't know why. It just feels right. I do love it. I think I've dove into that. I don't have a lot of commercial construction experience, but I'm a loan officer now, and I've also worked in the construction industry. I've been in construction since I was 14. So I looked around, looking at everything, and I'm like, it's not built for a football game. It's built for people to enjoy a football game. And that's a big difference. Like Ralph Wilson Stadium, listen, we got to play football here, and we want people to watch. Just make it happen.
Exactly.
And I love, when they tear down the Ralph, I will cry. I will.
Yeah.
And I understand it. Everything has its time, but now it's like the team's good. The fans are good. It's a family atmosphere. It's a family experience. It's going to be built for us. And it's the first time I've ever actually heard that said out loud. Like, we are building this for the fans. So I love it.
A lot that comes up with it, because not only with the stadium, there's talks, and I don't know if you've heard these talks, but the site is built on Indian burial grounds.
Yeah, the current stadium.
The new one is too. It's being built on Indian burial grounds.
Is the new one built on it as well?
It is. Yep. So I've heard that, but there's talks that they could put in a casino right next to the stadium.
Oh my god!
Which would be freaking cool.
See, I had heard that they were gonna do a casino where the old stadium is, because the old stadium is technically native land. And I did not realize that the new stadium was, but the tribe gave them their blessing, and there's this whole thing. And then they got some sort of outdoor statue and indoor section of the stadium that is going to honor the Native American tribes of that area. And I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
I am too. And I've heard that the reason that the Bills are cursed is because they also have there's a graveyard behind the stadium. I don't know if you knew that at Ralph Wilson Stadium, but
Is it like a visible graveyard? Because I want to go see it.
It's visible. There's a graveyard. To some degree, there's a graveyard that's there. I don't. You'd have to we'll get into the comments and everything. People will comment on this video. They'll be like, "Yeah, I know where that is." Blah blah blah. Like I'll show you where it is. And everything.
Somebody, give me like a GPS coordinate location of where that graveyard is, please, in the comments.
I mean it's crazy, but that's the reason. Like people are saying, like, Ralph Wilson was buried there, and he's just like,
I've heard
the rumor. This is the rumor that I've heard, and I'm gonna laugh when I say it, but the rumor is Ralph Wilson is buried there, and he's so pissed off with the Buffalo Bills and everything that we're gonna be cursed forever. That's the rumor that I'm hearing. Like I've heard that so many times, and it just makes me laugh. It's like, why?
He is not buried. Oh, maybe. No, I'm kidding. He's not buried. What'd they do? They put him in the bronze statue out front?
No, the rumor is this. The rumor is that they, in the offseason, they took out the turf.
Yeah.
They took it all out, replaced it. They had it open. They dug 6 feet down, buried Ralph at the 50-yard line, and then he's on the field there. And then they covered him back up with turf, and he is just on the field to just curse the Bills for the rest of the eternity in that stadium. So that's why we'll never win. We won't win a Super Bowl because of that. That's what the rumor is. That's why we have to move to the new stadium.
Oh my God.
That's what the rumor is. And I don't know why that is, but it's just the rumors that you hear on the internet.
Do you think it's true?
No, absolutely not. It would be funny.
I got right in front of right above my camera here. I have a panoramic of the stadium, and I'm just sitting here, just looking at the 50-yard, Ralph's under the charging buffalo in the middle, just saying, "I hate you guys. I hope you lose everything." Come on,
Ralph's. You got his middle finger up, just pointing at. I can see that.
He's laying there like this with both of them up.
I can see it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get into our this or that questions that we have for you. And I'm going to rattle these off. I got 8 questions for you, but some are related to Buffalo. Some are related to the team, but let's get this thing going.
All right.
Would you rather shop at Tops or Wegmans?
Wegmans.
Anchor Bar wings or Duff wings?
Oof. I'm kind of partial to Anchor Bar.
Okay. Ranch or blue cheese on the wings?
A blue cheese. Ranch should be illegal.
I feel you on that. So you already answered this one, but the Dome. Do you want it open or closed for games?
No, I never want to see a Dome in Western New York.
All right. Would you rather have a Bills Super Bowl or a Sabres Stanley Cup?
Bills Super Bowl.
Okay. Now this is related to Cleveland. Would you rather listen to Tracy Chapman, who sings Fast Car, or Rick James?
Oof. Probably Rick James. Maybe.
Okay.
It's like having pine cones shoved into my ears.
Now that's a little trivia for you guys because Tracy Chapman's from Cleveland, Rick James from Buffalo, so that's why I brought it up.
Yep.
Would you rather visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls.
Okay. Would you rather go to the Falls and jump over if the Bills win a Super Bowl, or would you rather go in a barrel and go over the falls?
A barrel.
Barrel. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. That was one that I was gonna bring up just because. If the Bills win a Super Bowl, you're jumping off Niagara Falls. So
right. So growing up, real quick, there was a guy when I was growing up who did that, and some guy ended up doing it in his boat, and ended up they never found him.
Really?
Yeah, like I'll have to see if I can find you the story and send it to you. But yeah, it was like, shoot, early '90s, I think.
Huh.
Crazy.
All right. Well, I would love to hear that because I mean I've been there a couple times and I've heard the stories about people jumping over it and everything, like trying to make it through. I mean, there's only a couple I know that did it, but
yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that somebody should do it. Don't get me wrong. Not saying that. So don't do it. If I'm going to say that right now. There's a disclaimer in here. Don't do it.
Do not.
Oh, if the Bills win the Super Bowl, then we can all.
There's only one way you're surviving that thing, and that's in a space pod. That it's in the museum. Go see it, rebuild it, and if you want to do it. But other than that, don't do it.
No. All right. Last one I have for you on this or that is: would you rather have the spring or fall time in Ohio?
Spring, because I really don't want to be raking leaves, man.
I feel you on that. I do feel you on that. But the foliage, I love that time of the year, like that, late October time when it just gets that nip in the air. It's just a perfect time of the year.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move into our second to last section that we have, our truth or lie your ass off question, and I have a good one for you. Okay. Oh. I know you're gonna love this one. So I've gotten to know you a little bit more off camera and everything. I know that you're a guy that you love the yard. You love to go out and you love to, be in the yard. Do you put fertilizer down on your yard? Is that something that you do?
I'm obnoxious. Yes. I I've gone out there I'm 70 years old in my head. I've gone out there with a pair of scissors because I missed a blade of grass.
Oh my God. Okay. So that's to some degree. Okay. I got you. You're the type of guy that goes online and you look up the videos and you're like, oh, this fertilizer is the one to get because this covers that little area and everything that's brown and everything. I got you. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's
so. My truth or lie your ass off question that I have for you is, if you walk out of your house in the morning and you're going to get the newspaper and you step in some dog doo-doo, okay? You know exactly what neighbor it is that their dog pooped there, okay? Do you clean it up or do you throw it in your neighbor's yard and smush it all over their yard because you're so pissed off about it? Now, remember, you have that nicely manicured yard, okay? Let me know what you're going to do in this situation. And remember, the viewers get to determine if you're telling the truth or lying your ass off. So, embellish a story of what you would do in that situation.
So, I mean, the countless hours and amount of effort that I put in my yard. I think if the neighbor that I would put in that group had their dog do that, it would probably, it'd end up in his front yard, on his door handles, like on the railing to his porch. If his car's parked outside, it's on the windshield. And I'm sleeping pretty good at night.
All right. So we're going to determine if you're telling the truth or lying your ass off on that one. So just remember, if you're new to the channel, for these truth or lie your ass off questions, you have to comment whether he's telling the truth or lying his ass off. Because we've gotten to know David Johnson a little bit. Okay. He seems like a nice guy overall. But is he telling the truth or lying his ass off? That's to be determined.
I have pet peeves. I will tell you that. I do.
All right. That's good to know. All right, David, I'm going to open up the floor to you now. And I do this with every guest that I have on the show. I turn it over to them, and you get to talk about if there's anything that you want to talk about, maybe, something that you want to get off your chest or anything like that. It could be that you got a ticket that nobody even knows about, something like that, or it could just be any type of story that you want to talk about or a specific topic that you want to talk about. I'm going to turn the floor over to you and give you your time to talk about that.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Hot topics, big topics. So, I think we touched on it actually the last time we did this, and it's funny because, the last time we had this video, you made a comment of, you never really know what somebody's going through. And I know that one of the things we ended up talking about, I think one of your friends or a relative or somebody of yours is in the mental health field or had something like somebody had something, something like that. And we were talking about how important it is to like talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got us off on the tangent on that last video about Devin and her job. And I can tell you, just from personal experience, the last time we did this, like everything was kind of trending up for myself personally. And then recently, just a lot of random negative things have been going on. And then you just sit there, you start scratching your head and saying, why? And I think it's just really important to remind people that, and this is another, you get to watch my ADHD in full effect right now. This is another reason why I like Poyer so much. He just got an award for this.
Yeah.
But like, your mental health is important. I mean, I take care of myself physically. I go to the gym, every day. I'm walking my dog like 5 to 10 miles every day, and he's still got energy. That guy, he's the Energizer Bunny. But like, nobody talks about mental health, and specifically nobody talks about mental health for men. And I think that's a really big deal because like, if I don't have people to talk to, you really start to sit there and wonder like what your actual value to the world is, to your family, to yourself, and everything else. And like, I know that you've said it before, and I've said it before, but like, anybody that's watching this, if you're going through stuff, like, he's going to put my Twitter or my Instagram. Don't get me on Twitter because I don't check that, but he's going to put like my Instagram on there and like reach out because it like, dudes, life sucks. Life is hard.
Yeah.
And the older you get, the worse it gets.
100%.
After that's why so many old guys, they don't care and they just say whatever they want because they're run down.
Hey,
So
my dad's one of them.
So is mine on certain days, right? And like we really got to make sure that we look out for each other because you can sit there and talk to your fiance, talk to your wife, and I'm not saying this about anybody's in particular, and I'm definitely not saying it about Devin because she is there. I mean, it's part of her career, right? But like,
Right.
It's hard to talk to the women in our life about what's bothering us. And it's hard. You can't talk to your kid. What are you going to do? Am I going to go tell my 12-year-old, hey, man, listen, this is what's going on. It's kind of tough. Like, he doesn't understand.
Yeah. You're not going to say to your kid that, hey, listen, man, I'm struggling. I'm down to my last dollar and I can't buy you this or I can't do that. You're not going to say that to your kid. You're not going to be like, oh, mommy and daddy are we're having a tough time. We're going to break up and,
yeah.
we're I'm giving up. I don't have anything else. You're not going to say that to your kid. You're not going to say that to, your fiance. You're not going to say that to anybody unless you talk to the right people that can get you to the right situation that you need to be in. And David, this is a great topic that not a lot of people even bring up. And it's something that I want to be an advocate for mental health. That's something that I'm going to strive to do as much as possible because this is a topic that not a lot of people bring up. And you talked about Jordan Poyer winning the award for mental health. It's incredible to see that because it's something that, in my opinion, it needs to get more recognition, and we need to have counselors that are, even if it's a discount or if it's free, just somebody to go and talk to, because there are days where there's things that go on and you just need to talk to somebody. And there's some people don't even have somebody to talk to. There's certain situations where, whether it's, your parents passed away or, situations where you just don't have anybody there.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is that they're going through in life. And it's tough. It really is. The life that we live is tough. And I'm not saying that I have it rough. I'm not saying that whatsoever. some people have it good. I have it great. I'm blessed with what I have. I have an awesome family that supports me. I have a fiance that supports me. I have a dog that, like yours, is the Energizer Bunny on steroids and loves to freaking annoy the crap out of me when I'm doing these shows. But, we have it good. But there's people that have it rough, and, they just have to deal with what they have to deal with. And if you're somebody that's struggling with mental health, I'm going to say it now. And I know, David, you've already said it, but message me on Instagram, message me on Facebook, all the different apps that I have, the ones that I have by now. I'm going to put the links to all of them in the description of this video. Message me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to, we can set up a, 30 minutes to just talk, and I'll listen to you. I want to help you. I don't think that there should be anybody that goes through it alone.
Absolutely.
There's situations that I've been through that, I might be able to help you with, but just being able to talk to somebody and get what you need to say out. That's something that really helps. And, your fiance, that what she does for a living, it's incredible. That's something that I totally support, and I'm happy with what she does. It's awesome, because there's not a lot of people that do that. And like I said, we need to have more people like that, and they need to get more recognition for what they do too. So
absolutely,
it's
hard. And I will say, because it is hard. It's hard to talk to people. It's hard to talk to strangers. But what I will tell, everybody here is that, like, if you guys are going through something and you want somebody to talk to, obviously reach out to me or Brett. But also, like, if you guys are like, hey man, I really want to talk to like a mental health professional, like, guys, I can help you get that. Just say, hey, listen, I'm in this state. How do I get connected with somebody?
Yeah.
Devin has all of the resources. She's involved. She is a mental health worker. They're all connected nationwide. It could take her 5 minutes at most to figure out what number you need to call to get started. And it's like, it's something that, so many people take for granted, and you take it for granted until you're at your last straw. And like I said, I mean, Brett just said, like, he's blessed. He can't, complain. And I'm the same way. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like, my life's great. I own a house. I got, I have a kid that loves me. I got a dog that loves me. I got a fiance that loves me, but I also have problems, just like Brett. Like, we also have problems. And sometimes those problems, no matter how small you think they may be, if they're a big deal to you, they're a big deal.
100%. You said it very, very well right there. And I'll say this too. There's days that are harder than others for me. There's things that I've been through, and I'm not saying that, I've been through the worst. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but there's times where, I've dealt with anxiety. I've dealt with, to some degree, being depressed. I'm not saying I've ever been depressed to the point where it's too much, but we've been through so much stuff in our lifetimes, and I want to be the type of person just like you. I want to be able to help them, and if you feel that I can't help you, I will guide you to the situation that we can, and we'll make the phone calls that we need to get you the right help. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, or if you don't feel comfortable talking to David or somebody like that, we'll get you the right steps. That's one thing that we will do, because we care. That's one thing that
absolutely do.
That's the one thing I will say is this: we care, and we want to help you. So if you're going through situations in life where you need somebody to talk to, give us a message. We would really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
David, I'm going to say this right now. Thank you so much, man, for being on the show. Thank you for being one of my followers. I really do appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I know that we had a rough start going, to start everything, but, I am very thankful to have you as a follower, man. For those of you that don't know the story behind how David and I first interacted with each other, it's a really good story. So I posted on my Facebook this wanted poster of Josh Allen, because it seemed like after the Minnesota game, he was having a tough time. He just wasn't the same player and everything. And I posted this wanted poster mostly as a joke, just messing around and everything. I said that, we're trying to return the $256 million contract that we got, and we want the real Josh Allen to come back. David messaged me back on there, and he's like, saying I'm not a real Bills fan, and
it was
I don't
terrible
about Josh Allen and stuff like that. And to some degree, he's right. He's just saying that I'm just doing it for the clicks and everything. To some degree, it was for the clicks a little bit. I didn't think that thing would get as many views as it did. Don't get me wrong. I was just doing it as a joke, mostly. So, I mean, what you said in that thing, you're right to some degree, but we've gotten to know each other. I apologize to you.
I apologize to you. Yeah.
Said, hey, that was something that was stupid. I shouldn't have done it. Don't get me wrong. Is my most liked picture I've ever had on Instagram, which is all publicity is good publicity.
Right.
But I've gained a friend out of it. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
I gained a friend out of that video or that post and everything. And to have you on here it's an honor to have you on here, and to have you as one of my followers, it's great. And who knows? I mean, there's things that are coming up. I know we talked backstage and everything. Definitely 2023, you're going to see David Johnson on the Go Bills podcast for sure, to some degree, whether it's doing videos together or it's some behind the scenes work that you're going to see with him. He's going to be on there because he is such a great guy. And look at what he has on right now. He has his headset on. He looks like he's ready to call a game days. I mean, he looks ready. He seems like a color analyst for the Go Bills podcast. That's what he seems like. And he's wearing the right colors. Listen, color rush uniforms and everything. We're ready to go.
We really are. I just gotta get my white ones, and then we'll be golden.
Exactly, man. But again, thank you so much for coming on, man. I know the first time it stunk because I had crappy hotel Wi-Fi, but this time I'm back in my house, back in the actual studio for Go Bills podcast, and we're good to go, man. So
no, it's great. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And just to comment, because I'm not going to let you get the last word on that on that issue, but I mean, the way that we met was interesting, and then what I thought was even better was we went back and forth in the comments, and then you took it to the messages and was like, hey, listen, this is what I was trying to do. And I felt like the biggest jackass in the world because you were like, bro, I'm joking. And I was like, nobody knew you were joking. So, but it definitely, I definitely, like you said, gained a friend out of it, gained a guy who I can just one more person to add to my, I'm going to send memes to, and that's what life is all about, right? Sending memes. But no, I thoroughly enjoy the content that you put out. And, obviously doing this was a lot of fun. I do hope that, to be back a few times and you and I'll figure that out. But I mean, it's great. And I really, really want to support you in getting this done and getting this thing to take off. So you can go, retire from any other job and just use this.
Exactly. I need to retire from Amazon. That's what I need to do.
Yeah. Right.
But hey, I do appreciate you being on here. I really do. And, one of my favorite followers of all time, I'll always tell you that, because, we had our battles in the beginning. I'm not going to let that go. But one thing I will say is this, and you didn't bring it up, though. I went to those messages and to that extreme to message you personally and say, I'm sorry and everything, man. And then like months later, I'm like doing this Sunday Sit Down series, and I'm like, I need to have David on there because I need to have him talk about why he's a freaking Bills fan. And I need to call him out, and I was going to call you out in front of everybody watching. I'm like, nah, I'm going to I want to get to know him, just see how he is at first and everything. And I'm like, I'm going to call him out, and I'm going to just go off on him and everything. I'm like, I'll say this, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'll let you go. I promise you. But it's a question, first of all. Have you ever met somebody to begin with, and you're like, I freaking hate this guy already from the beginning. I hate this guy and everything. And I'm like, I can't stand him. I hate him. He sucks, blah, blah, blah. And you get it all wrong. You get it all wrong.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I love this guy. This guy's my best friend now. He's the freaking guy I always wanted to be. Type of, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that about you. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, there's those guys that you're like, man, how did I find this guy?
Right. It's like, son of a, I want to be mad at him, but I can't.
Exactly. It's like, I can't be mad at him because he's just so cool.
Very similar sentiment about you, honestly. Yes, because I when you messaged me and asked me, because I was heated. I was like, these, like, the kid's hurt. He's playing hurt, and everybody's just attacking him. This is like the 9th post that I've seen going after Josh. And so you were the subject of all the other 8 frustrations off. But I went and talked to Devin, and I was like, so that guy who I commented on his post because he was ragging on Josh, he wants me to be on his podcast. So this is going to be interesting because we might actually have like an internet fight. And she was like, you're going to go fight with somebody on a Bills podcast? I was like, yes. And then the first time we did this, I was like, I'm not fighting with this guy at all. This guy's really cool.
See, that's how it was for me. I'm like, damn, like this guy, like, he just doesn't get it for Bills football and everything. He doesn't get like my sense and everything. And I'm like, you have those fans, don't get me wrong, like that they just fight you on everything. And I'm like, no, this guy, he gets something. There's like something that needs to click, and it just needed to click. And then we got on the same page, and now we're cool and everything. I'm glad we are. And it's been great. So
I'm gonna get that post framed and send it to you with our comments.
And the thing that pissed me off the most was it wasn't just that you commented, you freaking put it on your story, and that's what pissed me off the most. You like, unfollow this guy and stop following him. He doesn't get Bills football, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm losing followers because of this guy. I'm like, I freaking hate him now. Like, I'm losing all these followers because of this guy. And then from that post, it wasn't that people stopped following me. I gained more followers because of you. And I'm like, this guy is so freaking cool.
He's helping.
He's helping. I'm like, I can't believe it.
I hate him, but he's helping.
I'm like, all publicity is good publicity. That's what Ice Cube says.
Yep. So.
But, all right, man, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much again. I will put your description in the bio. Put everything to get to know you a little bit more. And we'll definitely reach out and talk more about mental health as well. That's one thing I really want to do. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, as well as on our new website, GoBillsPodcast.com. On that website, you can also find our upcoming shows that we will have with other special guests, such as David Johnson, but other special guests that we will have doing our Sunday sit-down series. I know I've been a little bit lazy on there, but I will get our updated schedule going on for this week, put that on there as well. But one last thank you to David Johnson for being on the show. And one last thing I got to say before I let him go is go Bills.
Go Bills. Thanks, Brett.